The crowd went silent, cameras flashed, history was being written, or perhaps rewritten. On that golden stage in Oslo, Venezuela's most defiant voice, Maria Corina Machado, stepped forward to receive the world's highest honor for peace. But what came next turned admiration into disbelief. "This award," she said, her voice trembling yet fierce, "is for President Donald Trump for his decisive support of democracy in my country." The words hit like thunder. Journalists gasped, analysts froze. A Nobel Peace Prize dedicated to a man known for controversy? Was this gratitude or a message wrapped in defiance? To understand this moment, we must rewind deep into the struggle of a nation torn between fear and freedom. Venezuela, once South America's richest nation, had become a place of hunger, collapse, and silence. For years, opposition leaders vanished, protests turned to blood, and hope faded. But in the chaos, one woman stood against the storm, Maria Corina Machado, the woman the regime could not break. She faced arrests, assassinations, exile, yet she kept speaking, louder each time, "Venezuela will be free." But here's the twist. She wasn't alone. When Washington began tightening sanctions and sending signals of support, whispers grew louder. The United States was quietly helping Venezuelan opposition networks survive. And yes, insiders say, Trump's administration provided decisive strategic backing, the kind that never makes headlines, but changes destinies. So when Machado thanked him, was it merely symbolic or a confirmation of a hidden alliance that's been shaping Latin America's quiet war for years? Now, here's the question nobody dares to ask. Was this Peace Prize actually a victory or a warning? Because behind every medal lies politics, and behind every speech lies strategy. Some experts call it the Nobel shockwave, an invisible ripple shaking world powers. In Washington, the statement reignited debate over how much America should influence global democracies. In Caracas, the regime fumed. Reports suggest Venezuelan military officials have gone on high alert, fearing renewed uprisings backed by Western signals. Meanwhile, in Moscow and Beijing, silence. But silence, my friends, is often the loudest sound in geopolitics. And before you think this is just another political speech, remember, every shift in power begins with a single symbol. Machado's words may not just honor Trump, they may ignite a chain reaction across nations struggling between freedom and control. What if this moment is the start of a new global alignment, where peace prizes carry political payloads and democracy becomes the new battlefield? Hold that thought, because what unfolds next might just rewrite Latin America's destiny, and the clues are hiding in plain sight, from secret U.S. diplomatic cables to mysterious troop movements near Venezuela's borders. Something bigger is happening, something the world press isn't telling you.
And so the story deepens, because what looked like a moment of peace may in truth have signaled the start of a geopolitical storm. After Maria Corina Machado's shocking dedication to Donald Trump, diplomatic circles began buzzing. Within hours, encrypted chatter across Latin American intelligence networks spiked. A leaked U.S. cable, verified by multiple sources, hinted at renewed coordination between pro-democracy movements in Venezuela, Colombia, and even Cuba's dissident groups. The world saw a medal, but behind closed doors, generals saw a warning. The old order was being challenged once again. Now, pause for a second. Ironic, isn't it? A Nobel Peace Prize triggering military mobilization? It sounds like fiction, but history is full of moments like this, when words spark wars and peace speeches ignite revolutions. One Venezuelan soldier described the current mood inside the barracks as tense, uncertain, and electric. Intelligence briefings now mention foreign interference and U.S. coordinated unrest. But here's where it gets chilling. Satellite data reportedly shows unusual military movement near the Colombian border, and American naval assets have been repositioned quietly in the Caribbean. Coincidence? Or preparation? And while Caracas fumes, the streets of Venezuela are stirring again. Thousands marching with pictures of Machado, chanting her name, waving American flags alongside their own. Ordinary people, hungry and desperate, now believe that the world, or perhaps one man, is finally listening. That belief alone is power. But power in fragile nations is like fire in dry grass. It spreads fast, it burns deep, and it's hard to contain. And in that fire lies both hope and destruction. So what happens next? That's the question keeping diplomats awake tonight. Will the regime crack down again? Or will the Nobel spotlight make brutality too costly to hide? Will Trump's name now echo across Latin America as a symbol of liberation or as the spark of new conflict? Even inside the White House, advisors are split. Some see this as the dawn of a democratic resurgence in South America. Others fear it's a trap, pulling the U.S. into another endless struggle. But let's be honest, this isn't just Venezuela's story. This is about the global battle for influence, fought not just with tanks or treaties, but with symbols, speeches, and the silent force of public emotion. The same dynamics are visible from Eastern Europe to the South China Sea. Every word spoken by a leader, every image broadcast on a global stage, it all becomes ammunition in this invisible war of perception. And tonight, Maria Corina Machado may have fired the loudest shot yet. And here's the twist most media won't tell you. Sources close to regional defense analysts say that joint U.S.-Colombian drills scheduled for next month have been quietly expanded. The official statement, training for humanitarian operations. But internally, some believe it's a show of strength, a message to regimes aligned with Moscow and Beijing that democracy and American power are far from fading. The timing is too perfect to ignore. Now, you might be thinking, what can one award really change? But history answers that question clearly. Symbols start revolutions. From Lech Wałęsa's Nobel in Poland to Liu Xiaobo's in China, Nobel Prizes have often marked the moment dictatorships began to crack. The same might now be happening in Venezuela, only this time it's happening under the world's brightest spotlight and the shadow of global rivalry. So as the cameras fade and the applause ends, remember this: peace prizes aren't always about peace. Sometimes they're the calm before the storm. The kind of storm that reshapes nations, rewrites alliances, and tests what freedom truly means. But this story is far from over. Because as you watch this video, something is unfolding right now. Inside Venezuelan command centers, inside the Pentagon's situation rooms, inside diplomatic corridors, where the next chapter of this story is already being written. And here's your cliffhanger. A secret meeting scheduled next week between Latin American defense ministers and U.S. envoys has just been confirmed. Officially, it's about trade. Unofficially, it might determine the fate of an entire region. So stay tuned, because in our next episode, we'll dive into what's really happening behind those closed doors, the truth about covert operations, shifting alliances, and the untold strategy that connects democracy movements worldwide. Before you go, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and watch our next video right here, Hidden Power: How Modern Democracies Fight Back Without Firing a Shot. Because understanding the next war means recognizing the quiet battles already being fought.